Grant, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. Now, we've often compared what's happening in South Africa to what's happening in Venezuela, and of course, what has happened in Zimbabwe. I've attached you a video here which someone sent me, which actually shows the comparisons. And you can see the road that South Africa is following is the road that Venezuela has already followed. And you have to know, look no further than the proof that's provided in the video covering Venezuela about where South Africa is going to go. And it's not a pretty picture. And I do have to tell you that the rest of the world are not doing much to help those citizens of Venezuela who are caught in this madness. What we need to do in South Africa is make sure that there is recognition by countries who will come in and actually help people get out of that country. And I'm talking largely minority groups. This is becoming critical right now. All right, guys, here comes the video. Please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates and have a great evening. Bye for now.
Tierra es de ustedes. Esta tierra ya no es latifundio. Esta tierra ha sido liberada para que ustedes las trabajen, para que los vayan ocupando los que antes eran en Venezuela los sin tierra, los sin espacio, los sin voz. Ahora son ustedes que se están empoderando, porque si algo tiene que hacer una revolución socialista es darle poder al pueblo, poder a la sociedad, y en eso andamos. Bien bonito. Ese edificio ahí, ¿qué es? Ese es un teatro antiguo, ¿no era? Ajá, pero eso está en manos del gobierno, ¿verdad?
Sí, en este momento está en manos.
¿Y este edificio?
Es un edificio que tiene comercio privado de joyería.
Exprópiese, exprópiese.
Expropriation.
De acuerdo.
¿Y aquel edificio allá en la esquina?
También son edificios que tienen locales comerciales.
Bueno, miren, me decía Jacqueline ahora, en aquella casita que está allá vivió Bolívar recién casado. Esa casita que se ve ahí con 2 balcones. Y ahí lo que están en unos negocios. Exprópiese.
Those are the things that when you expropriate land without compensation and make the state a custodian of such land.
Este edificio aquí, ¿cuál es?
También es un edificio que tiene locales comerciales de propiedad privada. Por lo tanto,
Expropiese, señor alcalde. Expropiese. Expropiese.
And the NEC was emphatic that we must urgently implement the resolution to pursue expropriation of land without compensation, with due regard to safeguarding and growing the agricultural sector and ensuring food security.
La revolución va a seguir creando.
The revolution will continue to produce like a machine, guaranteeing ample and affordable food for all Venezuelans.
A los venezolanos y barata.
No one is starving in Venezuela, but signs limiting purchases of flour, margarine, and other staples adorn supermarket shelves, leaving shoppers frustrated.
You can never find what you need unless you go to several stores.
For the Venezuelan government, this is what a rescued farm looks like. In December, President Hugo Chavez expropriated this 4,000-hectare cattle ranch from one of Venezuela's wealthiest families. Lanz says the government will diversify production to include fish, corn, and rice. Once a food exporter, Venezuela now must import staples like milk, and Chavez blames the country's large landowners. Reynaldo Celis does live on his ranch, which is 1/8 the size of Hacienda Bolivar. The army has occupied it anyway. The soldiers did not allow our camera inside, but Celis showed us his workers' living quarters, which had king-size beds and flat-screen TVs. Celis says his award-winning cows produce 4 times more milk than the national average. But he says until the government decides if he can keep his property or not, those cows will remain idle.
For Ruben Barboza, the future looks bleak. Over the past 40 years, he's built up a thriving cattle and dairy operation in western Venezuela. But this month, Hugo Chavez's government expropriated 30 farms in the region, and his could be next.
I developed all of this using my own intelligence and my own labor. And now that everything is going well, the government comes along and steals it from me, strips me of my land and my ideas.
Meanwhile, refugees are gathering at the gates, desperate for any patch of earth they can get.
We think there's room for all of us here, like over there.
Over the past 10 years, the Chavez administration has nationalized over 2.5 million hectares to benefit the poor. But established landowners doubt the scheme. They estimate that only 2% of redistributed lands are productive, and locals also fear that the seizures are leading to a loss of jobs.
This farm is a very typical example of what we find in land reform farms across our sample. The production has decreased drastically from commercial agriculture to subsistence agriculture, plummeting by 79%. The employment likewise has also plummeted. It's gone down by 84% on average, and in this province as high as 94% drop.
It's Friday in the morning, and like many Venezuelans, I'm gonna go around the city looking for products. Here I have a list, 8 essential goods. Their prices are regulated by the state, which is partly the reason why they're so scarce. First off, my local supermarket. Weird, no queue outside, but lately, Venezuelans are queuing in basements. Some say it is because the government wants to hide the queues, while others say it's because they don't want people to get sunburned. So it's 9:10 in the morning. We're queuing here to get a number so we can queue again and buy the product. We don't know what they have right now, but someone told us that they have cooking oil.
Back at the Charavalle neighborhood outside Caracas, just about every business displays the same sign. No hay luz, it says. There's no power. At this paint store, owner Luis Marcano wipes the sweat off his forehead. He says that in addition to the blackouts, his business has been hit by an economic crisis that has kept customers away. A crisis that has also kept some of his shelves completely empty. Rafael Romo, CNN.
Venezuela's prolonged and acute economic crisis, characterized by food shortages and hyperinflation, has seen infant mortality rise to almost 35% and maternal mortality 65% in just the last year. Anemia is rampant. The oil-rich country is now leading Latin America in what is called acute malnutrition, the type described by experts as a rapid decline in nutrition that puts a child's life at risk.
Animal offcuts have become the affordable option for Venezuelans, priced out by hyperinflation. Anything makes a good soup or stew.
Rotten beef is also sold here in this market. It smells strong. It's got flies all over it.
Y la gente come eso, lo compra.
Without any power, you can't buy food. You can't get fuel for a generator. Hospitals are struggling to keep on working. It's a country in darkness. People are dying. A lot of people I'm talking to regularly tell me about helplessness. They never thought it would come to this. This is like The Walking Dead. This is like living in the apocalypse. You can't go to a cash machine. You can't get on the internet. You cannot go to a shop and buy something you need. I've been speaking to doctors in different hospitals, and they tell me how much of a struggle it is to keep, for instance, intensive care equipment going. So children with intensive care equipment had to be switched off. And when I asked her, but what happens to them in the meantime, she was like, well, they are in the hands of God.